Alright boys, welcome back to another Fortnite video. Today what we're going to be doing is taking a big look at controller versus keyboard and mouse. I'm someone who's fully educated to talk on this because I've played keyboard and mouse for a little over a year, okay? And I'm going to be talking about why I swapped to keyboard and mouse and why I didn't stay on controller, because I played on Fortnite controllers since like the game came out right up until chapter 2 until I got my PC and decided to swap to keyboard and mouse. And I'm fully unbiased. I've played controller longer than keyboard and mouse, and I'm still not biased. So this video will be fully fair. You'll understand everything. We're going to be talking benefits, the negatives of both sides, and we're going to bring your playstyle into it, talking about why some players might decide to use keyboard and mouse or why some players might decide to use controller because it's better for them. With that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you hit that sub button and stick around on the channel. We're posting all sorts of information, videos to help you with rotations, mechanics, all that kind of stuff. With that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your opinions on this keyboard versus controller down below. And first things first, I'm one person, by the way, who doesn't think aim assist is overpowered, and I play on keyboard and mouse. I just wanted to point that out. Let's get into the video. Alright boys, first things first, I'm a bit stuck for time by making this video, so I'm just going to literally throw the facts at you, and we're going to start off by talking about controller aim assist. Apparently, from a keyboard and mouse player's perspective, it's the most overpowered thing in the game, or controller players would be terrible without it. But the facts don't say that. The facts show that back when aim assist was at its strongest in chapter 1, when you had the whole L2 spam meta with the legacy aim assist, then you had the whole Midas drum gun and the spray meta, and that aim assist was super strong because it was based off how many frames you were getting. Then they redesigned aim assist, so therefore players with less frames actually get stronger aim assist. So therefore console players have stronger aim assist because, you know, the fact that, you know, people playing on PC on controller have the advantage of extra frames. So there's a whole thing there to stop, you know, the aim assist being super strong. But when you go back to World Cup, which was in the L2 spam meta, which means aim assist was at its peak in chapter 1 in the World Cup. When you look at how many people qualified for World Cup that played controller, it's less than 5 people, and they only qualified for semis. I'm pretty sure there was one player that went on to the finals, but put that aside. When you look at last season's FNCS winner, for example, he's a controller player. He has the worst aim assist in the history of the seasons, and he's winning FNCS. He's winning the equivalent to World Cup. You get me? You can clearly see the progression that controller players have the least aim assist they've ever had, and they're winning the most tournaments they've ever won. How? The frames, the thing about, you know, how many frames you have, that hasn't changed. Always since Fortnite came out, it was, you know, down to frames, down to input lag, down to ping. That's always been the 3 main things. And there was a thing at one point where I would say the whole of chapter 1 keyboard and mouse was so good. But then you had that small, I guess maybe between chapter 2 season 1 and chapter 2 season 3, where you had so many keyboard and mouse players fully swapping to controller just so they could compete with aim assist because they couldn't take it. Their natural skill on aim wasn't as good as aim assist. But controller players are actually getting better the weaker aim assist gets. And how is that? That's because, you know, the whole Epic game development team have aimed you towards using linear. They removed legacy, and then you're left with exponential or linear. Linear feels better, and all the pros use linear because they understand it. So therefore everybody else uses linear and gets good on it. And it has way less aim assist than what exponential does right now. But yet everybody uses it because it's more consistent and allows their natural skill to shine through. It allows them to get muscle memory down, because when you played on legacy, it was so hard to build muscle memory because it was like, it accelerated. And you know, anything to do with keyboard and mouse, no pro keyboard and mouse player would use mouse acceleration because it completely tears your aim. But controller players were forced to use a little stick with mouse acceleration, which is just completely bad for muscle memory, for the ability to be able to aim consistently and flick consistently. They removed that and give you linear, and that's the tool you boys needed to be mechanically as good as keyboard and mouse. But then you have the thing of binds. You guys, when it comes to swapping weapons, you guys have the bumpers or whatever other button you assign, but you can only go left or right. On keyboard and mouse, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whatever gun you want, you can swap to it within the, you know, literally the click of a button. That's the downfall that not a lot of people talk about, because when it comes to editing and pulling your weapon out, For controller players, it's not, just press a button. You have to, might have to press R1 3 or 4 times. Or, if you're a really good player, you'd have your pump already lined out. So when you swap away from your pickaxe, you have your shotgun out. But unfortunately, not every player is as smart as that to be thinking about the micro things and how they add up to make you have such a big advantage against keyboard and mouse players. Then it comes to reset. We've scroll wheel reset, the most overpowered thing in the game, and that's more overpowered than aim assist because I've played on controller, and the first thing I did was use, as someone who's never even touched a keyboard before, I was told how to put on scroll wheel reset. Took no skill whatsoever to get down. Within 15 minutes, I was resetting walls like a psychopath, and I couldn't even edit a wall. I just knew how to reset them with zero skill, and that's something that controller players lose out on because I could reset walls with zero skill, but it's probably the weakest point of the controller player is editing. Their aim is okay, you get me? Put it like this, in my own perspective, the worst keyboard and mouse player's aim assist is probably on skill with the average controller player's aim. So I don't know if I messed words up there. What I'm trying to say is even the best aimer on controller is very hard to compete with the best aimer on keyboard and mouse. Overall, our skill ceiling when it comes to aim is much higher. Same with editing. But on controller, you do have that advantage with building and a slight advantage with editing. We do have scroll wheel reset, but you boys have separate sensitivities. So if you guys want to edit super fast, you can bump your edit sensitivity up. If you want to build super fast, you can bump that up. But we have downfalls when it comes to that. Because when we're playing, we have one sensitivity for building, for aiming, for editing. So if we want to play a low sensitivity and have consistent aim and hit a lot of hip fire shots with our shotgun or SMG, whatever it may be, it also forces us to edit. It takes so much longer to be able to build and edit. You see the way I build, boys, it's kind of bot-like. That's because I'm playing a lower sensitivity than Mongrel and Bugger. I'm playing actually half their sensitivity, which could be one of the lowest sensitivities in Fortnite. And if you watched any of my streams or gameplay, you know how far I have to whack the mouse around my desk, and it's probably on the screen over there as well. I probably have gameplay going with my hand cam in it. It's really low. So we're forced to play low sensitivity if we want to hit more shots. But it also messes up our building. So that's why you either see someone on keyboard and mouse who's a high sense, a low sense, or somewhere in the middle. I personally would like to be in the middle, but I just feel as if my aim is my strongest suit. And you boys know my aim is just something else. It's monstrous. So I don't want to mess that up by swapping sensitivities too much. And then it comes to movement. You boys are losing out now because keyboard and mouse, we have controller movement. It takes a lot longer to get down, trust me, because they've banned double movement binds. But when you have a keyboard and mouse like the one I have right now, the controller movement is actually very skill based. It's about how far I push down on my stick. So similar to the way if you throttle on your stick, you push it forward. The further you push it forward, the faster you run. If you move it just a little bit, you start tiptoeing and shit. It's the same on keyboard and mouse. If I push W down a little bit, he starts, tiptoeing. If I push it down a good bit, he'll jog, and then all the way he'll start sprinting. Same with the sides with A and D. The harder I press them, the more I turn to, get controller movement, but it takes a lot of skill to get down. So you boys have controller movement, but we've controller movement now. For the majority, for any top tier pro, they're going to be using controller movement because they can afford to get controller movement. Keyboards, you can get so much. You can get the Wu-Ting software, and I think it's Keys 2X or some shit like that. Someone let me know down below in the comments, and I'll pin it so everybody else can see it. But they're free softwares you can use to turn any normal keyboard into a keyboard with controller movement, which instantly puts you up by a ton of advantages because controller movement helps more than just your movement. It actually gives you better viewing angles. And the most common way to actually improve with, controller movement is when you're tarping. You can be looking head on while building to your right. So that's super overpowered, just full stop. You can be looking right, running this way. It's completely overpowered. Especially with all the other advantages we have. But with that said, the fields and the gap between controller, keyboard and mouse players were up here. Controller players were down here. This is back in chapter 1. But now it feels more even. Or if not, controller players doing better. So that's my guide, bro. It's down to what you play best on. Everybody plays best on something else. I know for me, in a year of playing on keyboard and mouse, I played 10 times better than I ever did on controller that I've played on for 6 years. So some people it's just differently. And I've never touched a keyboard before, and I got twice as better in a year. And I don't even play that game as much. I play the game probably, like I used to play this game, bro, 10, 15 hours a day. Now I play maybe 3 or 4 here and there every day, and then take breaks on the weekend, but I'm still playing better than I ever was. And I don't know why. I really can't answer you that. It's just whatever you play more comfortable on is what you should play on. Always choose comfort. But I also am contradicting myself there, because when it comes to binds, you have the option of choosing comfortable binds or choosing horrible binds. And I've made this example before. If you're in your house and you want to be comfortable, the most comfortable thing in the house is your bed. You get me? So you're going to go lie on your bed and it's comfortable. But if you're in a desert and you've been walking for 42 days straight and you're dehydrated, and you see a nail or like a glass on a chair, you're for sure going to sit on that chair, bro, because you've been walking for 42 days straight. You want to sit on a chair. Doesn't matter if it's glass. It's going to rest your legs. You don't give a shit. You're going to sit on the chair. So it makes sense. When you are in a position to choose something that's not as comfortable, over time, when you sit on that chair with glass, it's going to become more comfortable because your legs are rested. I'm trying to just give you an analogy that makes sense. I don't think that's going to make sense because I didn't deliver it as I did in my other video. But I'm just saying, if you find something that's uncomfortable and be in that scenario long enough, you become comfortable. If you go for a test and you're stressing, you're not comfortable there. And that's probably because you didn't study. So if you study and you go to a test, you're going to be more comfortable because you're prepared. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you study keyboard and mouse, if you study good binds, and they're very hard at the start, as time goes on, you tend to get better at them, and that's what I've found out. So I would say pick a controller or keyboard, it doesn't matter, an input of your choice, minimize as much input delay as possible, and then roll with it, practice with it. Best methods, we do it all on the channel right here, giving you the best ways to improve all day, every day, tips coming out, streams coming out. You can go into the Discord down below, ask any questions you want. But with that said, I'm going to give you to the outro where there'll be videos there for you to watch. So enjoy them. Make sure you're subscribed because we're having more and more videos dropping every day. I'm out of here.